Okay. So like I was saying, in AFM they will not ask you about this thing IRR method, but since I am also taking into consideration your MBA syllabus, I'll quickly teach you IRR and then let us move ahead to MIRR. Okay. Yeah. So we are still in investment appraisal. We are still into investment appraisal. Correct. So right now what we are seeing, we are looking at a rate IRR. IRR is a rate of return, that is I can say it is a WACC where PV of cash inflows, PV of cash inflow will be equal to PV of cash outflow. Okay, so what we already know what is PV of cash inflow. We already know what is PV of cash outflow. How to calculate that we have done in NPV, correct? So IRR is that rate where PV of cash inflow equal to PV of cash outflow. If this is the case, okay, what will be the NPV? At IRR, what will be the NPV then? 0, correct? Because NPV is what? NPV is PV of cash inflow minus PV of cash outflow, right? Okay. And we are saying at IRR, what is happening? The cash inflows and cash outflows are same. If cash inflows and outflows are same, then at IRR, NPV equal to 0. Correct? So in short, I'm just looking at my project. And I'm finding that rate of return where NPV is 0. Okay. But then you guys will say, if NPV is 0, we should reject the project. Correct? If NPV is 0, we should reject the project. So why to find out IRR then? Correct? Because at IRR, NPV is 0. So the reason, once I know at IRR, NPV is 0, okay, and now my company wants to, let us say, negotiate an interest rate for loan from the bank. Correct? Let us say for example, we have found out my company's IRR is 12.5%. Okay, we have found out that my company's IRR is 12.5%. So now we know at 12.5% NPV equal to 0. So now when my company wants to negotiate an interest rate from the bank, okay, should I accept anything above interest rate? Should I accept equal to 12.5%? Okay, interest rate should be more than 12.5%, or interest rate should be less than 12.5%. So what should be the interest rate? Should the interest rate be equal to 12.5%, more than 12.5%, or interest rate should be less than 12.5%? What is the answer? Okay, read this. At IRR, NPV equal to 0, and now my company wants to negotiate. So I know at 12.5%, NPV is already 0, correct? So if rate is more than 12.5%, what will happen? NPV will go beyond 0, it will become negative. So I want a rate which is less than 12.5%. So I want WACC should be what? Should be less than your IRR. That is the purpose we calculate the IRR. Okay, first calculate IRR, then you will get an idea, okay, that at IRR NPV is 0. So I will negotiate that rate which is going to be less than my IRR. Understood the purpose of calculating IRR? Okay, so let us see. So IRR is completely based on the formula. Formula will be given to you in the exam. You will be given the formula. Okay. So IRR is equal to lower rate plus NPV of lower rate, okay, divided by NPV of lower rate minus NPV of higher rate. Okay, and this whole thing will be into difference between higher rate and lower rate. Okay, see where I've put the brackets. See where I've put the brackets. Okay, so IRR is equal to lower rate. We'll start with the lower rate. They will give you two rates in the problem. Okay, so IRR is equal to lower rate plus NPV of lower rate divided by NPV of lower minus NPV of higher. That whole thing into higher rate minus lower rate. Solve this bracket, add the lower rate to it, you will get the IRR. Okay, right on then. L equal to lower rate, H is equal to higher rate. Okay, NPVL is NPV at lower rate and NPVH is equal to NPV at higher rate. How to calculate NPV? You guys already know. How to calculate NPV? You guys already know. Write down then. Okay, let us go ahead then. Let us do a simple problem on IRR. Okay, let us take a sum. Your initial investment is 20,000. Okay, and PV of cash flows. Let us not take cash flows. I'll directly give you CFATs. Okay, because you guys already know how to calculate CFATs now. Okay, so even if CFATs are not given, you know how to do it. Okay, so CFATs are 4,000. Okay, 6,000, 8,000, and let us say 12,000. 12,000. Okay, cost of capital, available cost of capital is 10% and 15%. Calculate IRR. Calculate the IRR. Do it then. So initial investment, you know, CFAT, you know. So you know how to calculate NPV. So calculate NPV at 10%. That will be the NPV at lower rate. Then calculate NPV at 15%. That will be NPV at higher rate. Correct? And then put it in our formula. Put that in our formula. Try this sum. Everyone try this sum. So step 1 will be calculate NPV using 10%. Step 2 will be calculate same problem, calculate NPV using 15%. Okay, and then you will get all these four: lower rate, higher rate, NPV at lower rate, NPV at higher rate, and then just put this into the formula and tell me what is the IRR. Hope this is clear. So IRR is that rate. It is that rate where our PV of cash inflows is going to be equal to PV of cash outflow. Okay, it is that rate where our PV of cash inflow is going to be PV of cash outflow. Okay, so at IRR, if PV of cash inflow and outflow is same, my NP will become what? NP will become 0, because the formula of NPV is PV of cash inflow minus PV of cash outflow. So let us take an example. The total of PV of cash inflows, okay, total of PV of cash inflows is 1 lakh. Total of PV of cash outflows is also 1 lakh. Okay, I'm talking about present value. Huh? Okay, so 1 lakh minus 1 lakh, NPV is what? NPV is 0. So I am finding out these PVs at a certain rate, right? I am finding out these present values at certain rate, and that rate is what? That rate is your IRR. So IRR is that rate where present value of cash inflow will be equal to present value of cash outflow, and NP will become 0. Okay, so that the purpose to find out IRR is, once I know IRR, NPV is equal to 0, then I will want my cost of capital to be less than IRR. So let us say IRR is 12.5%. So I know at 12.5% my NPV is 0, right? So now when I take a loan, I know that I cannot take a loan at 12.5%. Okay, because at 12.5% NPV is 0. So I'll need a loan which is lower than 12.5%. Okay, so IRR exact rate, no one knows. Okay, no one knows what is the exact rate where NPV equal to 0. We either get a positive NPV or we get a negative NPV, or we can get both positive NPVs, we can both get negative NPVs. Okay, so I want to find that exact rate where NPV equal to 0, and for that this is the formula. Okay, you take two rates, you will be given two rates in the problem. Okay, one will be a lower rate, one will be a higher rate. Okay, so what you are going to do, you are going to find out NPV at a lower rate, and you will have to find out NPV at a higher rate. Okay, the difference of these two will give me what? Will give me IRR. So the formula is IRR equal to lower rate plus NPV of lower rate. So in this case, in this problem, what is the lower rate? Lower rate is 10%. So step 1 will be what? Find NPV at 10%. Step 2 will be what? Find NPV at 15%, higher rate, and then put this in the formula. You will get the IRR. Okay. So I'll solve this on Excel now. And how to calculate CFT is that you already know. So in your problem, what they will do, IRR, entire concept of IRR is based on this. Only the problem is that they might not give you CFT, but you guys already know how to calculate CFT. Okay. So particulars, year 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess you have 4 cash flows, right? 4 cash flows. Okay. So cash flow, we will need year 0 also. So year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cash flows. What is the cash flow? In year 0, cash flow is 20,000 outflow, correct? So I can write this is their initial investment, 20,000, correct? And CFTs I have. What are my CFT? 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, and 12,000. 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, and 12,000. Okay. Therefore, what I'll get? There is no working capital. There is no recovery of working capital. There is no salvage value. There is no tax on salvage value. So this is my net cash flow. This is my net cash flow. Okay. So that will be what? Initial investment. That will be, sorry, that will be CFT minus initial investment. So negative 20,000 and positive amounts. Okay, so now I'll do what? I'll do NPV at 10%, correct, and NPV at 15%, at 15%. So I'll just calculate the PVs. I'll just calculate the PVs at 10 and 15%, correct? Okay, so what is the discounting factor? So discounting factor at 10%. So that will be 1 divided by 1.1 raised to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the present value at 10% will be what? Will be 20,000 into 1, correct? Then 4,000 into 0.9091, that way. And the sum of all these will be your NPV. So NPV will be sum of all of these. It will give me the NPV. Okay, so the first NPV we have got the first NPV. Okay, now with the same figure, with the same net cash flow, we'll calculate NPV at 15%. So discounting factor at 15%. So 1 divided by 1.15 raised to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So present value at 15% will be what? This amount, original amount into discounting factor. Okay. So with the lower interest rate, lower WACC, I have got 2801 NPV, and with 15% I have got 136 NPV. Okay. So I just calculated NPV at 10% and NPV at 15%. So now what is the IRR? So IRR is equal to lower rate, correct? That will be lower rate plus NPV of lower rate divided by NPV of lower rate minus NPV of higher rate, correct? And the whole thing into higher minus lower rate, the whole thing into higher rate minus lower rate. Okay, so IRR equal to, what is the lower rate? Lower rate is 10%, so that will be 10%. 10% plus, what is the NPV at lower rate? Lower rate was 10%, right? So NPV at lower rate is 2801 divided by NPV at lower rate is 2801 minus NPV at higher rate. Higher rate is what? 136. Okay, and into difference between higher and lower rate. What is the difference between higher and lower rate? That is 15% minus 10%. 15% minus 10%. Correct? So IRR equal to 10% means 0.10 plus 2800 divided by this amount 2801 minus 136. Okay, and into 15 minus 10 is 5%, so 0.05. Correct? So IRR equal to 0.1 plus or I can say 15.25%. Okay, so I know my IRR is 15.25%. So if I get a loan at 15.25%, if I get a loan at 15.25%, my NP will become 0. Okay, so now the next doubt was annuity table in Excel sheet. How to take annuity table in Excel sheet? See, you will have anyways in AFM you will not have a computerized exam, okay? But for your MBA purpose, I can tell you what is annuity factor. Annuity factor is nothing but the total of all of these. Okay, so I want annuity factor for, let us say, 15% for 3 years. So annuity factor of 15% for 3 years will be what? It will be the total of discounting factor of 15% for the first 3 years. That will give me what? That will give me annuity factor of 15% for 3 years. Okay, is that doubt clear? Let us say from here only I want annuity factor for 10% at 4 years. What I'll take? I'll take the sum of discounting factor at 10% for 4 years. I'll get what? I'll get annuity factor at 10% for 4 years. Okay, Karthik, is this understood? And in F9, you will not be able to calculate directly annuity factor in your Excel sheet. Okay, but they will give you the annuity table and discounting table in the exam question. So for, let it be for F9, let it be for AFM, or let it be for your MBA financial strategy, you will receive present value table, you will receive annuity factor table, you will receive normal distribution table. All tables you will receive along with the question paper itself. So you don't need to worry about it. Okay, so IRR is clear. See guys, if you are understanding the IRR concept, 15.25 everyone is getting 15.25 IRR. So that was the basic concept. That will not be asked in AFM. That will not be asked in AFM. IRR is not asked in AFM. I'll tell you why. Because see, in IRR, I'm always going to what? I'm always going to do it with two different rates. I'm always going to do it two different rates. If I don't know two rates, I cannot do the IRR method. So that is the drawback with IRR. IRR cannot be done with one single rate. Okay, you need to know what are the two different rates, then only you can do the IRR. Okay, so instead of doing that, we'll go what? The company will prefer having MIRR, modified internal rate of return. Okay, company will prefer to have modified internal rate of return, MIRR, and that is your main that is your main example in your AFM. Okay, so one example of IRR is enough. Yes, let us proceed. Yes or no? Okay, so we'll focus more on MIRR. We'll focus more on your MIRR. So now see, what is the concept of MIRR? At MIRR also, we want that rate from which company can decide what is the best possible WACC for my company. Okay, so I'll just give a brief comparison. At IRR, what used to happen? At IRR, what used to happen? PV of cash inflows should be equal to PV of cash outflows. Correct? But at MIRR, PV of terminal value of cash inflows should be equal to PV of cash outflows. Okay. So what I have changed in MIRR? What have I changed in MIRR from IRR formula? There is only one thing that I have changed. Right hand side, it is still PV of cash outflow, PV of cash outflow. Okay. Instead of IRR, I am taking MIRR. But here, instead of PV of cash inflow, what am I taking? I am taking the present value of terminal value of cash inflow. So here we'll have to calculate the terminal value. Terminal value means what? Value of the project for its remaining life of the project. Okay, remaining life of the project. So if I'm in the first year, of the project, I need to know in remaining 3 years how much cash inflow I can generate. If I'm in the second year, I need to know in the remaining years how much cash inflow I need to generate. So terminal value is nothing but it is like a value at the end of the project. Okay, value at the end of the project. So that's why it is called as value of its remaining life of the project. Okay, it will be value of remaining life of the project. Okay, and if I am calculating remaining life, so terminal value should be done using compounding method. What do you mean by compounding? So discounting was 1 divided by 1 plus r upon 100. Okay, compounding will be what? Into 1 plus r upon 100. I'll tell you that. Okay, that is very easy. Calculating terminal value is very easy. Okay, so just what you guys have to remember at MIRR. So at IRR, PV of cash inflow was equal to PV of cash outflow. But at MIRR, PV of, don't take cash inflow, PV of terminal value of cash inflow will be equal to PV of cash outflow. Okay, let us take a sum. Let us take this sum only. Now. Okay, and available cost of capital is, let us say, 10%. Available cost of capital is 10%. With the same sum, we'll do MIRR. So first sum we'll do it together because you don't know how to calculate your terminal value. Okay. You will need a scientific calculator for this, guys. You'll need a scientific calculator for this. So initial investment is 20,000. CFDs are 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, and 12,000. Okay. So step one is calculate terminal value of only cash inflows. Okay, we don't want to calculate terminal value of cash outflow. This 20,000 is a cash outflow, right? I don't want to calculate terminal value of cash outflows. I only want to calculate terminal value of cash inflows. Okay, so year, then your cash flow. Okay, and then remaining life of the project. And therefore the last term you will get is your terminal value. Okay, this is very easy to calculate. Okay, and this is a very logical method, obviously better than IRR. IRR is only trial and error method. This is the actual terminal value method. Okay, so let us see. We are only focusing on cash inflows. Okay, so year 1, 2, 3, and 4 year 1, 2, 3, and 4 cash inflows are there. So it is a 4-year project. Okay, so cash inflows are what? 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, and 12,000. So if I'm in the first year, and life of the project is 4 years. Okay, so here what is the remaining life? Remaining life will be what? 3 years, correct? If I'm in the second year, life of the project is 4 years, remaining life is what? 2 years. Here remaining life will be what? 1 year, and here remaining life will be 0 year. Okay, terminal value means what? Terminal value means nothing but future value. Okay, so what is the formula for future value? Okay, I'll write the formula over here. Future value equal to what? Future value equal to present value into 1 plus r upon 100, r by 100, and the whole thing will be raised to n. Correct? Raised to n. That is how you will calculate the terminal value. So I'll write it over here. Terminal value equal to cash flow into 1 plus r upon 100 raised to n. So here this in year 1, 4,000 is the cash flow into 1 plus, what is the r? R is 10%. So 1 plus 10 upon 100. So I can say 1 plus 0.10, correct? And raised to how much? N means what? N means the remaining life, because you are calculating terminal value. So raised to 3. Raised to 3. So 1.1 raised to 3. So this is clear. So that will be 5324. That will be 5324. Correct. Second year it will be what? Second year it will be 6,000 into 1 plus r. So 1 plus 0.10. Now n is what? N is again the remaining life. Remaining life is 2 years. So 7260. Here it will be what? 8,000 into remaining life is what? 1 year. 8,000 into 1.1 raised to 1. Correct? And year 4 will be what? 12,000 into 1.10 raised to 0. Anything raised to 0 is how much? 1. So 12,000 into 1, 12,000. So that will be 12. So this is how I calculate my terminal values of cash inflows. This is how I am calculating the terminal value of cash inflow. So what is the total terminal value? Total terminal value of cash inflow I have got. So I have got the total terminal value of cash inflow. That will be sum of all these 4 things. Okay. And what was my cash outflow? Cash outflow is nothing but your initial investment. That is 20,000. Correct, na? Initial investment was 20,000. Understood till here? Complete till here. Complete till here. Then I'll move ahead. Just see if you understood till here. Once you are complete, tell me. Then I'll move ahead. Because what I am doing, I realize that I am solving it on Excel, and you are solving it in notebooks. So my calculation is done very quickly, and then you guys find it a little bit fast. Okay, so see if you understood this calculation, terminal value. So step 1 was calculate terminal value of cash inflows and cash outflow we already know. Okay, next. Let us do the next part then. So at MIRR, what happens? PV of terminal value of cash inflow should be equal to PV of cash outflow, should be equal to PV of cash outflow, right? So that is PV of, what is the terminal value of cash inflow? 33384 should be equal to PV of, what is the cash outflow? 20,000. Correct. Now, how do you take PV? What is the formula of PV? PV is equal to what? 1 divided by 1 plus R by 100 and the whole thing raised to n. Correct. The whole thing raised to n. That is how you calculate the PV. So the first case will be what? 33384 into 1 divided by 1 plus. Now that is what the problem is. At MIRR, I don't know what the R is. Okay. So instead of R, I'll write MIRR by 100. Okay. Raised to n, but n I know. The projected life is only 4 years. So raised to 4. That I know. See if you understood this part. So what I'm doing, I'm calculating present value of terminal value of cash inflow. So present value formula we already know, 1 divided by 1 plus R upon 100 raised to n. Okay. So that is what I'm going to do now. So what is the terminal value of cash inflow is 33,384 into PV. PV is what? 1 divided by 1 plus, but R we don't know. At MIRR we don't know what is the R. Correct. So instead of R, what I have written? I have written 1 plus MIRR by 100 and the whole thing raised to n. N we know because the project is 4 years, so n is 4. The whole thing should be equal to what? PV of cash outflow. Cash outflow was 20,000. 20,000 into, for cash outflow we can take our normal interest rate, that is 10%. So into 1 divided by 1 plus, here I will not take MIRR, here I will take my normal cash outflow, that is 10%, 10 by 100, but doesn't matter because cash outflow is only in year 0, so raised to 0. Okay, so this will be how much? 33384 into 1 divided by, so let us skip that 100. We can take that 100 by multiplying it later. Raised to 4. correct, should be equal to anything raised to 0 is 1, so 20,000 into 1 into 1. Correct. So now what we'll do, we'll take that 20,000 over here and 1 plus MRR over there. So this will be 33384. Correct. This will remain in the numerator, and this 20,000 will now come in the denominator. Divide by 20,000 into 1, 20,000 should be equals how much? Now this 1 divided by 1 plus MRR raised to 4 goes on the other side. So 1 divided by 1 plus MRR will take reciprocal. So that will become what? 1 plus MRR raised to 4. Okay. So what is this amount? Divided by 20,000. 1.6692 should equal 1 plus MRR raised to 4. 1 plus MRR raised to 4. Okay. So I want to just find out MIRR, right? So first I'll have to take care of this raised to 4. I want to remove raised to 4 from here. So what I should do? I should do 4th root of 1 plus MIRR. Okay. And here also I have to do 4th root of 1 plus MIRR. So this raised to 4 will come over here now. So that will be what? 4th root. So 4th root of 1.6692 equals, now this will only be 1 plus MIRR. Okay, this is your normal mathematics. So now I want to insert 4th root. So how do we insert 4th root? Returns the square root of a complex number, right? Do it on your scientific calculator. I forgot in Excel how to do it. 4th root of that thing. Anyways, you have scientific calculator. So that will be 1.13665 equals 1 plus MIRR. For this, you will need a scientific calculator. Huh? So calculate MIRR then. So on Excel, I think I can also do 1.6692 into 1/4. Sorry, raised to 1/4. That way also I think I'll get it. Oops, No. Yeah, correct. So you can do it on Excel by this method. This was 1.3365, 3665. So I can use number raised to 1 upon n, 1 upon n. That way I can do a fourth root, fifth root, nth root. So this amount equals what? This amount equals 1 plus MIRR. So now take the 1 over this side. So 1.13665 minus 1 will equal your MIRR. Will equal your MIRR. Okay. So MIRR will be what? MIRR will be equal to 0.13665, and we had not taken the 100 over here, so just multiply by 100 now. Correct. Here we had ignored that 100, so we'll take not divide by 100, multiply by 100. So MRR will be equal to 13.665%. So 13.67% is my MRR. So now I exactly know at 13.67% what is happening. My project will give me break-even point. Break-even point means what? Inflow will be equal to outflow. So now I want a WACC which is less than 13.67%. So this MIRR is totally mathematics. This MIRR is totally your mathematics. See if you understood this. So step 1 is what? Calculate your terminal value of cash inflow. Correct? And then step 2, put in your MIRR formula. Step 2, put in your MIRR formula. Okay, let us do one more sum on MIRR. Let me see if you understood this. Yes, any doubt in this question? Anyone has any doubt in this question? Okay. So let us take initial investment is equal to 30,000, and let us just add one more year. See if it is our 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 12,000 and 16,000. Okay. Available cost of capital is 10%. Calculate the MIRR. Calculate the MIRR. Do it then. Find this and tell me the answer. Yes, calculate the terminal value first. Put your terminal value in the group chat, and then calculate your MIRR. Okay, let us check. Even I don't know what is the terminal value. So cash flows are what? 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 12,000, and even last year cash flow we have 16,000. That will in fifth year. Okay. So now remaining life will change. Remaining life will be in the first year it will be 4 year, 3 year, 2 year, 1 year, and 0 year. So this will be what? This will be raised to 4. This will be raised to 3. This will be raised to 2. This will be raised to 1. And this will be 16,000 into raised to 0. Okay. So 4,000 raised to 4, raised to 3, raised to 2. This will be 12,000 into 1.1 raised to 1. Correct. And this will be anything raised to 0 remains 16,000. Anything raised to 0 remains 16,000. So terminal value will be till here. So 52,722. 52,722. Okay. Sharon, check your answer. Might be you have made some mistake in calculation. And cash outflow is now what? Cash outflow is 30,000. Okay. So now again, step 2 will be what? At MIRR, PV of terminal value of cash inflow is equal to PV of cash outflows. Okay. So PV of cash inflow is how much? 52, 722. I'll just round it off and take it as 52, 722. Should be equal to PV of 30,000. Should be equal to PV of 30,000. Okay. So 52, 722 into 1 upon 1 plus MRR upon 100 raised to 5. This will become correct. Raised to 5 is equal to 30,000 into 1. Okay. So 52, 722 divided by 30,000 should be 1 plus MRR raised to 5. Okay, so 1.7574 should be equal to 1 plus MRR raised to 5. So now I'll have to take the fifth root. I'll have to take the fifth root of 1.7574. Okay, so let us put that in your formula. So 1.7574 raised to 1 upon 5. That will give me fifth root. So if this is coming out to be this much, 1.1193. So MRR equal to what? 0.1193 or 11.93%. Just check your answer, see if you're getting this 11.93%. What happened? Yes, have you got this answer, guys? Okay, yeah. So now let us directly do exam kit problem on MIRR. Okay, let us see if your brain works on this thing. A little bit tricky, yeah? AFM guys will always try to trick you a little bit. Okay, so solve this question. This will be a little bit different. I've given the hint already. It's not the same problem. I'll send on the group also meanwhile. Read it carefully. You guys will be able to do it. I know that. Okay. I send on the group. Tell me the final MIRR value. Huh? Okay. Okay. So now, guys, while calculating terminal value, what I have said, terminal value will be only of cash inflows. So second year is a cash outflow. Second year is a cash outflow. I cannot take that in my terminal value. I'll take that cash outflow with my original cash outflow of 20,000. Okay, so I'll have to take that cash outflow with my original cash outflow of 20,000. Okay, then the firm's financing rate, negative cash flow is 9% and its reinvestment rate for positive cash flow is what? 6%. So for terminal value, you will use 6% and for cash outflows, you'll have to use 9%. Okay, let us do it then. So initial investment is what? 20,000. Initial investment is 20,000. Correct? And 4,000, 2,000, 6,000. I'll just write it over here. 4,000, 2,000, 6,000, 7,600 and 10,000. 10,000. And this 2,000 was negative. This 2,000 was negative. Correct? Available cost of capital. They have given two available cost of capital. For cash outflow is 9%. So that is available cost of capital is 9% for outflow and 6% for inflows. Okay. So step 1, calculate terminal value of only cash inflows. Terminal value can be only calculated of cash inflows. If cash outflow is there, we are not going to calculate that. Okay. So year 2 is gone. Year 2, nothing will come in year 2. Fair enough? Okay. So year 1, cash flow is 4,000. Nothing in year 2. Year 3 is how much? Year 3 is 6,000. Year 4 is 7,600. And year 5 is 10,000. Correct? So remaining life becomes 4, 2, 1 and 0. Third year is gone. So this will be what? 4,000 into. Now, what rate should I take? Should I take 9% or should I take 6%? In terminal value, should I take 9% or should I take 6%? We are calculating cash inflows, correct? So we'll take 6%. Okay. So that will be 4,000 into 1.06 raised to 4. Here again it will be 8,000 into 1.06. 06. Sorry, not 8,000, 6,000. Okay, so this will be 6,000 into 1.06 raised to 2. This will be 7,600 into 1.06 raised to 1. Okay, and this will be 10,000 into 1.06 raised to 0. Anything raised to 0 is 1. So this will remain 10,000. Okay. So how much is this? 29,847. 29,847 is my terminal value of cash inflow. Now guys, pay attention. Pay attention. How much is the cash outflow? Cash outflow will be 20,000 in year 0 plus 2,000 in year 2. Correct? Don't club it and take it as 22,000 because their years are different. Don't club it and take it as 20,000 in year 0, 22,000 in year 0 because their years is different. I'll have to keep it different. So present value of terminal of cash inflow should be equal to present value of cash outflow. So present value of, what is the terminal value? 29,847 should be equal to what? Present value of, don't take 22,000, 20,000 and 2,000. You have to take them separately because their years are 0. 20,000 will be raised to 0 and 2,000 will be raised to 2. So this will be what? This will be 29,847 into 1 upon 1 plus MRR. This will remain raised to 5 because life of the asset is 5 years. Should be equal to what? This will be what now? 20,000 into 1 upon 1 plus 10, 1 plus. Now instead of 10 upon 100, we'll take the financing rate 9 upon 100 raised to 0. Correct? And plus we have one more cash outflow, right? We have one more cash outflow, that is 2000 into 1 upon 1 plus 9 upon 100 raised to 2. See if you understood this step. See if everyone has understood this step. I'll wait till here. Okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes. I'll wait till here. See if you guys have any doubt till here. We are taking PV of cash outflows. So there were two cash outflows, 20,000 and 2,000. You have to show them separately. Okay, let us move ahead then. So how much this will be? This will be 29,847. 29,847 into 1 upon 1 plus MRR raised to 5 will be, this 20,000 will be into 1 because it is raised to 0. Correct? Plus 2,000 into 1 divided by 1 plus R. 1 plus R means how much? 1.09 raised to 2 raised to 2. Okay, so the doubt is how raised to 2 came. See, 2000 is in which year? 2000 cash outflow was in which year? In the second year, right? So 20,000 cash outflow was in year 0. 20,000 cash outflow was in year 0, and the 2,000 cash flow was in year 2. Now for cash outflows, guys, pay attention. For cash outflows, I am not calculating terminal value. For cash outflows, I am directly calculating the present value. So don't take 3 over here. See if this is clear? Okay. So I can directly do divide by this amount. Correct, na? 1683. Okay, so that will be 20,000 plus 1683. So this will be 29,847 divided by 21,683. Is it 21,683? So 1.3765 equals to 1 plus MRR raised to 5. So fifth root of 1.3765 1.065 So this will be how much? 0.0659, or I can say 6.59%. Okay, check your answer. See if you are clear. If this is clear to you. Okay. If there is any doubt, any sort of doubt, you can ask me. So this will be your AFM level question for MIRR. They will try to confuse you by giving outflows. Okay, 1683 are not getting. So this is what? 2000 divided by, so 2000 into, let us do it separately. 2000 into 1 divided by 1.09 raised to 2, right? Okay, so that is what? That is 1 divided by 1.09 raised to 2, 0.8416. Okay, so 0.8416 into 2000 into 2000. So that is 1683. So if you are getting now. I'll open this also. So do it separately. 1 divided by 1.09 raised to 2. Do it separately. Don't take 0.6 over here. 0.6 was for cash flow. 0.9 is for outflow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Done. So MIRR concept is done. So we have done IRR today. We have done MIRR today. Okay. We still have enough time. So let us do one more concept. So one last method is remaining profitability index. Let us do that as well. Okay, very simple. Profitability index is also very simple. So again, this profitability index, it might be asked as a additional 2 marks question. Okay. So here, for example, NPV question might be 18 marks and profitability index will be 2 marks. So that will be your 20 marks question. And in your MBA syllabus, they might ask you profitability index as well. Okay, let us start with that. So everyone is comfortable with MIRR now? Okay. Profitability index. And now see guys, pay attention. Remember all the methods that we are doing. Okay, remember all the methods of investment appraisal that we are doing. Okay, Saturday, Sunday, revise that. On the weekend, revise that. And then on Monday, I'll take a concept called as sensitivity analysis. It requires all the methods that we have studied. Okay, so it can be directly a 20 marks question for you guys. Okay, yeah. So Monday we'll do that. So today we'll study this method, profitability index. Okay, so profitability index is equal to simple PV of cash inflow divided by PV of cash outflow. Okay, so NPV was what? NPV was inflows minus outflows, correct? NPV was PV of cash inflow minus PV of cash outflow. Instead of minus sign, you have to put a division sign. You will get profitability index. Okay, it helps us to rank the projects and identify which project has the highest outcome, because you're dividing it, right? If you're dividing it, you will get in your decimals 1.23, 1.43, 1.68. You'll get in decimals, correct? And for the purpose of ranking the projects, okay, you can also take profitability index. Profitability index is equal to, you can also take it NPV divided by PV of cash outflow. So it will depend. In the problem, if cash inflow is given, you can use this formula. Okay, but in the problem, if NPV is already given, you can directly use this formula. Okay, so which formula to use will depend upon your question. Okay, which formula to use will depend upon your question. In the question, NPV is not given, you don't need to calculate NPV. You can directly do PV of cash inflows divided by PV of cash outflows. Okay, if NPV is given, you can do it with the help of NPV. The ratios of the projects will still remain the same. Okay, the answer will not remain same, but the ranks of the projects will still remain the same. Okay, yes. Now, the most important part. This can be used only if projects are divisible in nature. This can only be used if projects are divisible in nature. Okay, if they are indivisible, then profitability index cannot be used. What is divisible project and indivisible project? That we need to understand. Okay, so I'll take an example for that. Okay, so project A, company wants to purchase a block of asset where machinery equal to, let us say, 2 million, spare parts, so where machinery is equal to 2 million, spare parts is equal to 0.1 million. Okay, then furniture, instead of furniture, let us say computers to run the machinery is 0.9 million. Okay, and technical know-how is 0.2 million. That is project A. Project B, so how much is the total? 2 million, 3 million, 3.2 million. Okay, so project B, company wants to purchase a machinery wherein all these are built-in features. All these are built-in features, and the supplier is selling the entire machine as one for $3.2 million. Okay, read project A, read project B. tell me which project is a divisible project, which project is a indivisible project. Tell me that. Very simple. Project A is what? Divisible or indivisible? Divisible, correct. Project A is divisible and project B is indivisible. So in case of divisible project, what you can do, you can even take up, company can even take up part of project, correct. So company can say this year will only take machinery, okay, and computers maybe, sorry, this month will only take machinery and computers maybe will take in the next month, okay. So this month will take machinery, will install the machinery, okay, and after installation, once installation is done, then spare parts, computers, technical know-how, we can take it later on, okay. So block of assets becomes divisible, correct. Block of assets will become divisible because in one block we have n number of assets, okay. So we can decide to only purchase one of those assets, clear, okay. Whereas project B, supplier is selling the entire machine as $3.2 million, okay. So I can either take up the machinery or I'll have to leave the machinery. I cannot tell him that I want it separately, okay. So company can either purchase the entire machine or leave the entire machine. So that is a problem with indivisible assets. That is a problem with the indivisible assets. So our method, our profitability index method, okay, our profitability index method can be used only for which projects? We can use only if the projects are divisible in nature, then only we can use the profitability index. Okay, only if the projects are divisible in nature, then only we can use this profitability index. Understood? Write it down. Okay, done. Let us solve a problem. Okay, so what we are going to do, if the projects are divisible, we will rank the projects. Okay, if the projects are divisible, we'll rank the projects and we will take up only those projects which will give the best possible NPV for my company. Okay, and if the projects are indivisible, you'll again have to do a trial and error method and see how much we can have. Okay, let us see one problem. So I'll send the problem on the group as well. Okay, read this problem. It is called as capital rationing. Okay, capital rationing means what? Ration the capital, that is as per the availability of capital, as per the availability of capital, choose which is the best possible project or projects. Okay, write down if you want. Capital rationing means what? Capital rationing means depending upon the available capital, depending upon the available capital, choose the best possible alternatives to maximize the NPV. Choose the correct optimization of our limited capital. Perfect. To sum it up, it is optimization of our limited capital. So what do we want to optimize? We want to optimize the NPV. We want to optimize the NPV. Let us see then. Let us see this problem. Peel company has identified 4 positive NPV projects are as follows. Project A NPV 60, investment 9. Project B NPV 40, investment required is 12 million. Project C NPV is 35 million, investment required is 6 million, and project D NPV is 20 million, investment required is 4 million. But Peel company can only raise $12 million of finance to invest at T0, that is in year 0. The maximum capital I can raise is 12 million. Advise the company which project or projects to accept if the projects are, question 1, divisible, and question 2, indivisible. Okay, so let us do the indivisible part first, that is easier to understand. Okay, let us do the indivisible part first, and then let us go on to calculate your profitability index. Okay, so what is the problem? Company only has $12 million. Okay, it cannot raise beyond that. That is my constraint. It cannot raise money beyond that. So I cannot choose projects where my total capital will be more than 12 million. Huh? Company cannot choose any project or projects where the total investment will be more than $12 million. Fair enough? Okay. So question one was what? If projects are indivisible. Let us take the question 2 first. If the projects are indivisible. Okay, this is very logical. Huh? If projects are indivisible, it is very logical. Okay, so what are the alternatives available to me? Alternative 1, in 12 million, what you can do? You can invest the entire 12 million in project B, correct? So project, and then NPV. So alternative 1 is only project B, only B. If I take only B, entire 12 million is utilized, and NPV will be what? NPV will be $40 million. What is the alternative 2? Alternative 2 is what? We can also do only A, but if we take A of $9 million, okay, I cannot take any other project along with A, because A plus D will be 9 plus 4, 13 million, right? A plus D will be 9 plus 4, 13 million. I cannot do that. Okay, so again, second alternative is what? Only A, and that will give me NPV of how much? That will give me NPV of $60 million. What is another alternative I can do? Alternative 3. I can also do 6 plus 4, 10 million, correct? Because total is 12 million, right? So in 12 million, I can choose these two projects entirely also, 6 plus 4. So that were which projects? C and D. So C and D. Okay. And what will be the NPV? 35 plus 20. That is 50. Next, what is the alternative? Alternative 4 is only go with C, but that is very less. Only C. Only C. That will give me only 35 million. And alternative 5 is what? Alternative 5 is only D, but that will also give me only 20 million. Correct. So which is the best project then? Which is the best alternative? The projects are indivisible. Okay, so I have to either choose the entire project or I will have to let go of the entire project. Correct. So alternative 2 is the best one for me. Okay, so company should invest in project A and the total NPV, or I can say optimum NPV, and the optimum NPV will be $60 million. Simple. This was basic logic. Okay, even a school kid will tell you that project A was the best one. Okay, now let us do question 1. If projects are divisible, okay, if they are divisible, we can use profitability index to rank the projects. Correct. We can use profitability index to rank the project. Okay, so project, okay, PI will be what? PI will be NPV divided by outflow, or NPV divided by investment, I can say. Correct. It's the same thing, NPV divided by investment, and therefore I'll decide the rank. So project A, what is the NPV? 60 by 9. So this will be 60 million by 9 million, 6.67. Project B, what is this thing? 40 by 12. 40 by 12. Project C, 35 by 6. 35 by 6. Okay, and project D, 20 by 4. 20 by 4. That is 5. So rank, which is the best rank? A will have the first rank, C will have the second rank, D will have the third rank, correct, and B will have the fourth rank. Okay, now since the project are divisible, we can choose even a proportion of project, rather than full project, correct? So obviously first preference will go to what? First preference will go to A, correct? So A, what is the investment required and what is the NPV? For A, why we have gone for A? Because A has the highest PI, correct? So A has the highest PI. Investment was 9 million and NPV is what? NPV is 60 million. Now, what is the second project that we'll choose? Should we choose B or should we choose C? We'll choose C. Okay. But how much investment does C require? C requires 6 million. But how much is left with us? Left with us is what? 12 million minus 9 million. So only 3 million is left. Okay. So I have taken how much of C? I have taken only 3 million out of 6 million. So can I say I have only taken 50%? I have only invested 50% in C. C required 6 million, right? C required 6 million, but available capital to me was what? 12 million. And out of 12 million, 9 million is already invested in A. So for B, I am only left with 3 million. So B, I have invested 3 million out of 6 million, correct? In case of B, I have invested 3 million out of 6 million. So I have invested only 50%. So NP will be also be what? NP will be, C NP is what? 35 million. So 35 million into 50. If project is 50%, NPV is also 50%. Okay. So total NPV will be what? Total NPV will be 60 plus 35 into 50%. 35 into 0. Total NPV is 77.5 million. See if you understood this part. Okay, done. So if projects were indivisible, NPV was only 60 million. And if projects are divisible, I can achieve more NPV and the total NPV will be 77.5 million. And I can utilize my entire 12 million. I can utilize my entire 12 million. Okay. So that was your profitability index. That was the concept of profitability index. Okay. So now see here guys, what all we have done in NPV in your investment appraisal. Investment appraisal. First we have done your payback, then discounted payback, then duration and modified duration, correct? Then we started with our NPV, then NPV with inflation, then foreign NPV, and then APV, adjusted present value, correct? Then today we have done IRR as well as MIRR, okay? And then we have also considered profitability index. So all this we have done in your investment appraisal chapters. Okay, so investment appraisal chapters, we have done so much of the methods already. Okay, so now what you guys will do over the weekend, you will revise all these methods. Okay, over the weekend you will revise all these methods, and then on Monday we'll start with sensitivity analysis. In F9 this was only for objective, but here now it will be for practical. Yes, Tobin, I'll try to upload the classes on YouTube. Okay, I've taken every this thing. I've recorded all the Zoom meetings except for one class. I have recorded all the Zoom meetings, but the class that I didn't record, I have recorded in other batch. Okay, so I'll try to upload everything today itself. Okay, I'll try to upload everything today itself. Okay, I just have to see how many videos are there, and I'll try to upload it today. So please, you guys revise it over the weekend. You guys please revise this over the weekend. Okay, and Monday we can start with sensitivity analysis. So next week we will do sensitivity analysis, as well as we have to do NPV with real options. Real options. That is your Black and Scholes model. That is your Black and Scholes model. Very important. Okay then. So see you directly on Monday. Have a good weekend. Have fun, but also revise all these concepts. Okay. And I think Kerala has opened now. The lockdown has opened, is it? So don't go out too much still. Even if it is opened, don't go out too much. Okay. Still take care. And see you on Monday. I am ending the meeting.